Imagine you are a diver descending into the dark waters off the coast of the Philippines. You are approximately 40 meters below the surface. The water is murky. The visibility is limited. Your dive light cuts through the darkness, illuminating the ocean floor. And then you see it, the remains of a massive wooden ship. The wooden beams are covered in coral and encrusted with centuries of marine growth. The hull is partially buried in sediment. The cargo hold is still filled with items that have been preserved by the cold, anaerobic conditions of the deep water. And scattered throughout the shipwreck are golden coins, golden artifacts, golden jewelry, gold bars, centuries of wealth from the Spanish colonial era, lost beneath the Philippine waters for hundreds of years. This is not a fictional treasure hunt. This is not speculation or fantasy. This is the reality of Spanish shipwrecks in Philippine waters. This is the story of real ships that sailed the Manila Galleon trade routes, carrying gold and silver and precious cargo from Spain to the Philippines, and from the Philippines to Mexico and Spain. Some of these ships made it safely to their destinations. Many did not. The ships that were lost became underwater archaeological sites, preserving not only incredible wealth, but also the material culture of the Spanish colonial era. This is the story of the sunken Spanish gold ships in the Philippines. This is the story of what divers, archaeologists, and historians have discovered in Philippine waters. This is the story of how one of history's greatest treasure troves has been slowly revealed as technology has advanced and as underwater exploration has become more sophisticated. Welcome to the underwater riches that still lie beneath Philippine seas. The Manila Galleon trade, the richest shipping route in history. To understand the significance of sunken Spanish ships in the Philippines, you must first understand the Manila Galleon trade. The Manila Galleon was not a single ship, but rather a fleet of merchant vessels that sailed between Manila in the Philippines and Acapulco in Mexico. The Manila Galleon trade began in 1565 when Miguel López de Legazpi established a Spanish settlement in Manila. Legazpi recognized that the Philippines offered an extraordinary opportunity for trade. The Philippines had access to the valuable spices and silks of Southeast Asia and China. The Philippines was located at a crucial point in global trade networks. From the Philippines, Spanish ships could sail across the Pacific Ocean to Mexico, which was under Spanish control. From Mexico, goods could be transported overland to Veracruz on the Atlantic coast, where they could be shipped to Spain. The Manila Galleon trade was extraordinarily profitable. Spanish merchants could buy goods in Manila for relatively low prices. These goods included silks from China, spices from the Moluccas, porcelain from China, and other luxury items that were in high demand in Europe and Mexico. The merchants could sell these goods in Mexico for prices many times higher than what they paid for them in Manila. In return, the ships would load Spanish silver coins and silver bullion from Mexican silver mines. This silver would be transported across the Pacific to Manila, where it would be used to purchase more goods. The cycle would repeat, generating enormous profits for Spanish merchants and enriching the Spanish crown through taxes and duties. The Manila Galleon trade continued for more than 250 years, from 1565 to 1815. During this period, countless ships sailed between Manila and Acapulco. The ships carried not only trade goods and precious metals, but also passengers, missionaries, government officials, and soldiers. The Manila Galleon trade was vital to the Spanish colonial enterprise in the Pacific. It provided the economic foundation for Spanish control of the Philippines. It provided the revenue that allowed Spain to defend its colonial possessions against rival European powers. The Manila Galleon trade was one of the most important and profitable trading routes in world history. If you're amazed by our ancestors' story, divers found a sunken Spanish gold ship in the Philippines. The gold they discovered is worth millions. Help us hit our 500-like goal. Drop a comment about your favorite fact and subscribe to join the Histo-PH family. The hazards of Pacific Ocean voyages. The Manila Galleon voyages were extraordinarily dangerous. The voyage from Manila to Acapulco typically took 4 to 6 months. During this time, the ships were exposed to the hazards of the open ocean. The ships could encounter typhoons, which are devastating tropical cyclones capable of sinking even the largest vessels. The ships could encounter other storms and severe weather conditions that could damage the ships and endanger the lives of the crew and passengers. The ships could encounter pirates and privateers who attacked merchant vessels to steal their cargo. The long voyages meant that the crew had to deal with disease, malnutrition, scurvy, and other health problems. The diet on ships was poor, consisting mainly of hardtack, salted meat, and limited fresh water. The living conditions were crowded and unsanitary. Disease spread easily among the crew. Scurvy, caused by vitamin C deficiency, was a common problem on long voyages. Many Manila Galleon ships were lost during the Pacific crossing. Some ships were lost to storms. Some ships were lost to pirates and privateers. Some ships were lost to other hazards, such as running aground on rocks or hitting reefs. The ships that were lost on the Pacific crossing disappeared into the vast ocean, and few records survived of their fate. However, many ships were also lost near the Philippine Islands themselves. Ships would be wrecked on rocks and reefs as they navigated the dangerous waters around the Philippines. Ships would be lost in typhoons that struck the Philippines during the monsoon seasons. Ships would sink near the coast of Luzon or the Visayas. These ships, lost near Philippine shores, have been the subject of underwater archaeological investigation. The most significant losses of Manila Galleon ships occurred during typhoons. The Philippines is located in the typhoon belt of the Western Pacific Ocean. Typhoons are common during the monsoon seasons. A single typhoon could destroy an entire fleet of ships. Historical records document numerous occasions when multiple Manila Galleon ships were lost in single typhoons. In 1629, a typhoon destroyed a fleet of Manila Galleon ships, resulting in the loss of enormous quantities of cargo. In 1656, another major typhoon destroyed multiple ships. In 1693, yet another major typhoon caused significant losses. Each of these typhoons resulted in the loss of ships carrying cargo worth enormous sums of money. Each loss represented a disaster for Spanish merchants and for the Spanish colonial government. The San Diego, the most famous sunken Spanish ship in Philippine waters. The most famous sunken Spanish ship in Philippine waters is the San Diego. The San Diego was a Spanish galleon that sank in 1600 in the waters near Luzon. The ship was carrying an enormous cargo of valuable trade goods and precious metals. The ship was traveling from Manila to Acapulco when it encountered a Dutch naval squadron. The Dutch were rivals of Spain for control of trade in Southeast Asia. The Dutch attacked the San Diego. The ship was damaged in the battle and eventually sank. The San Diego went down in approximately 600 meters of water off the coast of Luzon in an area now known as the San Diego Reef. The wreck of the San Diego remained undisturbed for nearly 400 years. In 1990, the shipwreck was discovered by a Spanish-Filipino team of researchers led by Robert Marks, a renowned underwater archaeologist. The discovery of the San Diego was one of the most significant underwater archaeological discoveries of the 20th century. The wreck was in remarkably good condition despite being underwater for nearly 4 centuries. The ship's structure was still partially intact. The cargo hold contained thousands of artifacts that had been preserved by the cold, deep water. Among the artifacts recovered from the San Diego were Chinese porcelain, pottery, wooden vessels, and other items that provided invaluable information about trade in the Manila Galleon era. The artifacts recovered from the San Diego are now displayed in the National Museum of the Philippines in Manila. The collection includes plates, bowls, jars, and other ceramic items from China. The collection includes wooden vessels, leather items, and other items made from organic materials. The collection includes coins, jewelry, and other items made from precious metals. The San Diego collection represents one of the most complete records of cargo from a Manila Galleon ship that has ever been recovered. The discovery of the San Diego demonstrated that sunken Spanish ships in Philippine waters could contain archaeological treasures that provide invaluable information about the Manila Galleon trade and about life during the Spanish colonial period. The gold treasure of sunken Spanish ships. While the San Diego is the most famous sunken Spanish ship in Philippine waters, it is not the only ship that has been found. Other sunken Spanish ships have been discovered in Philippine waters, and some of these ships contain gold and silver that has been preserved by the deep ocean. One of the most significant discoveries involves Spanish galleons that sank carrying gold coins and silver bullion. The gold and silver from Spanish colonial America was a primary cargo of Manila Galleon ships. Mexican silver from Potosi and other mines was melted down into coins and ingots for transport to Manila. Some of this silver would be exchanged for Chinese goods. The remainder would be transported back to Spain via Mexico. Some Spanish galleons that sank carried gold coins worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in modern currency. One significant discovery involved the wreck of a Spanish galleon found off the coast of Mindanao. The wreck was discovered by fishermen who noticed unusual items on the seafloor. When the wreck was investigated by archaeological teams, it was found to contain gold coins and gold jewelry from the Spanish colonial period. The coins were identified as Spanish colonial coins dated to the 17th century. The gold jewelry included ornaments and religious items that had been produced in Spain or Mexico and were being transported to the Philippines. The discovery of this wreck demonstrated that Spanish galleons that sank in Philippine waters were carrying not only trade goods, but also significant quantities of gold and other precious metals. Another significant discovery involved a sunken Spanish ship found off the coast of Luzon. The wreck contained hundreds of gold coins, silver coins, and silver ingots. The coins and ingots were dated to the 17th century. The wreck also contained other valuable items, including jewelry, ecclesiastical items, and trade goods. The total value of the treasure recovered from this wreck was estimated at several $million in modern currency. The discovery of this wreck provided direct evidence that Spanish galleons traveling the Manila Galleon trade routes were carrying enormous quantities of wealth in the form of precious metals. The challenges of underwater salvage in Philippine waters. The recovery of treasure from sunken Spanish ships in Philippine waters is challenging for several reasons. First, many of the wrecks are located at great depths. The San Diego, for example, is located at a depth of approximately 600 meters, which is beyond the range of recreational diving. Recovery of artifacts from such depths requires specialized equipment and trained deep-sea divers. Second, many of the wrecks are located in areas with strong currents and unpredictable weather conditions. The Philippine waters are affected by typhoons during certain seasons. The currents can be strong and variable. The visibility underwater can be limited due to sediment and water conditions. These factors make diving operations difficult and dangerous. Third, the ownership and legal status of many sunken ships is unclear. Some ships may be owned by the Spanish government or by the Spanish crown. Other ships may be owned by private salvage companies or by the Philippine government. The laws regarding maritime salvage vary depending on the location of the wreck and the nationality of the ship. In many cases, disputes have arisen regarding who has the legal right to salvage or explore a particular wreck. These legal disputes can slow down or prevent exploration and excavation of wrecks. Fourth, the underwater environment itself presents challenges to preservation and recovery. Wooden ships are attacked by shipworms and other organisms that deteriorate the wood. The salinity of the ocean water causes metals to corrode. The sediment on the ocean floor can bury artifacts, making them difficult to find. The cold, deep water slows down decay processes, which is why some artifacts are preserved in remarkably good condition. However, bringing artifacts up from the deep water to the surface can cause damage because of changes in pressure and temperature. Documented discoveries of Spanish gold in Philippine waters. Despite the challenges, numerous documented discoveries of Spanish gold and other precious metals have been made in Philippine waters. In addition to the San Diego, other significant wrecks have been discovered and partially salvaged. One wreck discovered off the coast of Marinduque contained numerous gold and silver coins from the 17th century. Another wreck discovered off the coast of Batangas contained gold jewelry and religious items. A third wreck discovered near Manila Bay contained silver ingots and copper items. These discoveries demonstrate that Spanish galleons sailing the Manila Galleon trade routes were indeed carrying gold and silver, and that many of these ships were lost in Philippine waters. Some of the most significant recent discoveries have involved wrecks discovered by fishermen or coastal residents who noticed unusual items on the seafloor or washed up on beaches. In one case, fishermen discovered coins and jewelry on the seafloor off the coast of Mindanao. The items were reported to authorities, and archaeological teams were mobilized to investigate. The investigation revealed a wreck that had been previously unknown. Another case involved a beach resident who found gold coins in the sand after a storm. Investigation of the location revealed a partially buried wreck in shallow water. In yet another case, divers exploring a reef discovered a wreck containing Spanish colonial artifacts. The discovery of these wrecks has been facilitated by advances in technology. Modern diving equipment allows divers to reach greater depths and to stay underwater for longer periods. Underwater metal detectors and sonar equipment allow researchers to locate wrecks without physically exploring every location. Remote-operated vehicles, ROVs, equipped with cameras and specimen collection equipment, allow researchers to explore deep wrecks without sending human divers. These technological advances have made it possible to discover and study wrecks that would have been inaccessible just a few decades ago. The Manila Galleon route and shipwreck locations. The Manila Galleon ships typically followed established routes across the Philippine archipelago as they departed from or approached Manila. The ships would sail through the waters between the islands of Luzon, Mindanao, Palawan, and the Visayas. These waters contained numerous hazards, including rocks, reefs, and shallow areas that could damage or sink ships. Many Manila Galleon ships were wrecked as they navigated these dangerous waters. The wrecks are concentrated in certain areas where the hazards are greatest or where typhoons are most common. One area where numerous wrecks are located is near Manila Bay. Ships entering or leaving Manila Bay had to navigate through channels with rocks and reefs. Several Manila Galleon ships were wrecked near the entrance to Manila Bay. Other wrecks are located off the coast of Luzon, in areas where typhoons commonly occurred. The waters off the coast of Mindanao also contain numerous wrecks. The route to and from Mindanao passed through areas with strong currents and unpredictable weather. The Visayan waters, which include the waters around the Visayan Islands, contain numerous wreck sites. Ships traveling through these waters encountered reefs and islands that could damage or sink vessels. The location of Manila Galleon wrecks in Philippine waters is significant because it indicates how the Manila Galleon trade connected the Philippines to the broader Spanish colonial world. The wrecks demonstrate that the trade routes were heavily traveled and that the cargo being transported was valuable enough to be worth the risks of ocean voyages. The distribution of wrecks around the Philippine Islands demonstrates that every region of the archipelago participated in or was affected by the Manila Galleon trade.